All right, this is going to be episode 3 of the Pasco Connect podcast, and we are so excited for this episode. I have Mr. Wayne Ewing with us today from Ewing Pools, and we are going to get started. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself.
I'm Wayne with Ewing Pools. We started this venture back in 2019, where we were just doing subcontractor work. Back in 2023, we finally got our own contractor's license, and we're doing all types of repairs, upgrades, heater installations, full renovations, pavers, refinishing, the whole nine.
Whole nine. That's awesome. So what got you into the business? Like what made you choose pools, right? You could have done pretty much anything.
Yeah.
Why pools?
I guess I've always wanted to have my own business. Mm-hmm. Always wanted to work for myself. We started out.
It's not as easy as it looks on the surface,
yeah,
right?
it's a lot of work. A lot of work.
You don't have any gray hairs yet, though, so it's.
I had a couple in my beard. I actually missed them. I don't know where they went. I was ready for that already. So I started out working for an excavation company, a good buddy of mine. Just digging pools. We would dig, mm-hmm. 1, 2, 3 pools in one day, and I'd watch the guys doing the rebar work on the pool, and I was like, I could do that. I could start my own business starting there, because it's not rocket science. It's not hard. You just got to know what you're doing. And that's where I started. So I started out being a subcontractor, like I said. Worked for a lot of different pool builders in the area, a lot down in Pinellas, and then I transitioned into working for another company who only focused on remodels, and then kind of branched away from doing a lot of subcontractor work and working directly for homeowners and renovating their pools and upgrading their equipment, stuff like that.
Very cool. So let me ask you this: the piece of your business that is focused on remodels, and what is the percentage of remodels versus service work that you do? Because you do both, right?
Yeah. So last year was our first year doing remodeling, because you have to have a contractor's license for that. Same with pool equipment repairs. Mm-hmm. Just to replace a pool pump or a pool filter or something like that, you have to have a pool contractor's license to mess with any plumbing. As far as the percentage,
and that's a very important thing, right? Like there's anybody. Let's be honest about the actual work, right?
Yeah.
Anybody can go replace a pool pump,
exactly,
or swap a valve out. It's simple plumbing. However, putting all those systems together is what's really important, to have somebody that's knowledgeable and licensed to do that. And you want to make sure that you're always hiring licensed contractors to do things like that, because especially for me, when if I have somebody did a botch job on a pool equipment and I'm going to sell the house, it'll be very apparent when we get to inspections and things like that. So making sure that those things have been replaced properly is super important.
Super important. Yeah.
Yeah. I always find it fascinating, because we had our pool redone. It was a big project that we did at the house after we moved in. I did it in 2019, something like that. And it was, I don't envy what you do at all. It was a lot of work, a lot of grinding. Yeah. And so pool rehab. And at mine, I modified the pool. So we had to cut the beam out, which was like the shell of the pool. The steel and rebar had to be cut. Talk about dust, the dust,
and then concrete dust everywhere.
One fun factor that we could share with a lot of people have never really been in a pool with no water in it. How hot that is!
Oh yeah, it's so hot.
When you think like I'm going in a cave and it'll be nice and cool. It is completely opposite. There's no wind. It's like an oven.
It's like an oven, because the sun sits there and bakes, the outside of the pool shell, whether it be a white finish or a bare concrete, and it hits you from all around, and it's miserable.
That was a fun learning thing for me. As you go through and do projects on your home and things like that, you learn. But I can remember getting down to look at something in the pool after the guys had left, and I went, "What in God's name?" I said, "This is so hot down here."
Yep.
And it was in the afternoon. The sun had already set, and I couldn't believe how hot it was. But that's one of those things with pool remodels that is just definitely like to do them in the winter more than in the summer.
Yeah, and when you're in there, jackhammering, chipping, running a concrete saw, that's extra heat, extra work.
Yep.
It's exhausting.
So walk us through some of what you would typically do. So I have a pool that's outdated and old, say it's 30 or 40 years old or something like that. And I would call you and say, Wayne, I want to make this pool like new. right? So then you would go in and walk us through the process of that.
So basically the first thing that we would do is drain the pool, inspect the old surface, see if we can even put a new surface on top of that. I personally like to go down to the original concrete shell on all my projects because you're going to end up with a longer lasting, better overall quality project.
Yeah.
But
and then part of that is you're not on somebody else's work going over top of it. So
Yep.
you're ensuring that the completion of that is going to last.
Yeah, and then not only that, but I've done several pools where I remove the old surface and we find structure cracks that need to be dealt with.
It's a good time to do those service work.
Yep.
At that point is to make it structurally perfectly sound.
Yep.
Make any repairs, because again, it's all below the finish. It doesn't matter what repairs you do and things like that to make it right. It's that when you put the finish on it, you don't know that was repaired, but yet
we didn't see those cracks before we stripped the surface. So once we stripped the surface, we're able to see those, properly staple them and address that, and we don't have to worry about a structure crack in the future.
And then so then after that, so you're taking it down to the shell, and then what's the next steps on that?
Usually like tile or coping. If we're adding in like a sun shelf or something like that for kids, extra bench seating for when you're lounging out in the pool, hanging out with friends and family.
So if you have like say an old pool that's, let's call it basic, right? It's got the stairs out on the deep end
and a ladder,
or whatever on the deep end, like they used to do, and we have a few stairs on the way in, and that's it. And somebody wants to add a sun shelf. All those modifications you can do at the time when you're
that's
rehabbing.
The time to do it. Yeah, you can add pretty much whatever you want. I mean, we could add in spas on a pool if you wanted to add a hot tub. If your pool doesn't have good sufficient flow, if it only has a lot of old school pools only have 2 1-inch returns, and that's it's worked in the past, but that's not how pools are built nowadays. We use all 2-inch plumbing.
Yeah.
Most pools have 3 or 4 returns. We could add in returns at that point. Things
Several,
like that.
sometimes you have fountains and several pumps. I know my pool's got 2 pumps.
Yep.
Right, so there's 2 separate systems that operate. That one is for filtration and the other one is for
features,
water features, a water fountain. I always find it funny too. Like people don't understand that these systems in the pool they affect how it works.
Yeah.
Like I'll tell you this: when I did the pool remodel on my pool, you did not do this. You were not in the business at the time.
Nope.
I didn't have a proper guide. I had the ideas of what I wanted.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a proper guide as to where should the skimmer go? Where should certain functional pieces of the pool go?
Yep.
I did not know that the color of the finish affects how much lighting you need. The darker the finish, it absorbs, just like a dark color absorbs heat.
Yep.
It absorbs the lighting in the pool. So if you have a white finish, you put one light, it's sufficient typically to light the pool up at night. If it's a darker finish like my pool, it
absorbs the light.
It absorbs the light, and then it's not bright. People are like, "Oh, your light's broken." Like, no, not really. There's 4 of them in there, and it's still not right. So the advice that Wayne would give in a pool remodel with the project is super important because you have the experience of.
Yeah, we can help guide you through different decisions to make. Things like lighting, all that stuff. So
lighting, I have those lit bubblers that are really cool. They look like volcanoes if you have them set on the red setting at night. It's really kind of a neat thing. But the whole process, and then being able to fill the pool and use it, pools are just great, and they add significant value to houses. The problem with pools a lot of times is an old dilapidated pool really affects the value of the real estate.
Yeah.
Where when you remodel and rehab, is $30,000 a decent budget for a remodel on a pool?
Yeah, that's pretty sufficient.
So
depending on what you wanted to do,
let's say you had an old pool that had no features, and you're like, I want to add, maybe another light, maybe an extra light.
Yeah.
I want to modernize the plumbing and stuff. We're going to put new tile and coping. Let's not talk about the deck and stuff like that. Like just the pool, and put a new finish. It needs a new Pebble Tech or Pebble Sheen finish on it. Let's say it's an average size pool. That can be done for 25 to 30.
Yeah, I would say that's a good budget depending on what we're choosing as final selections, what all you want to add.
Something like that, and I always like to tie this back into real estate because that's like how my brain thinks, right?
Sure.
So this type of investment in the pool, you might not get dollar for dollar the return on the real estate.
Right.
However, it makes the buyer more susceptible to buying that piece of real estate. So
Yeah.
you might actually not be able to say, oh, well, it got me $30,000 more for the house, but you might have gotten 25,
It's
or
gonna
you
look a lot better when
or you might
you're
have
selling.
oh, it's definitely going to look better, and you might have, the buyer that bought it might have bought your home over somebody else's that's down the street that's got the old dilapidated pool that needs a resurface or needs remodeling because how nice the pool looked. So it can really help sell the property. It might not translate into dollar for dollar, but say that neighbor, say you had two pretty similar houses and one's got the updated pool, well, you might get an asking price on the listing or close to it, where the other property might have to do 2 or 3 or 4 price reductions in our current market before they ever transact the property.
Yeah,
and then that money you received over the other neighboring property that sold for less is a dollar for dollar and, return on the investment. And you got to enjoy the nicer pool, which is,
Of course.
if you can use something for a little bit of time and then get your return back, that's spot on where you want to be on that.
Enjoy it while you have it.
So, okay, I'm going off script here a little bit. I got a couple of questions I want to ask Wayne. But what is your favorite add-on to a pool that somebody might typically miss in a remodel?
Sun shelves and more bench. I would say bench seating, honestly. But sun shelves are great too. You can put lounge chairs on them. If you have small kids, they're great for that. But mainly bench seating. If I could go over to DJ's or any friends and I jump in their pool, the first thing I do is go find somewhere to sit down and relax, hang out. I don't swim around or stand around.
Swimming's exercise. Hang out and
so bench seating, things like that.
I'll tell you that my input on that, and for me, I wish I would have done 2 more of these. When we redid the pool, we did put the sun shelf in, and I don't like a flat sun shelf. I did more of a gradual so that when you swim in, it's like 2 feet from the pool, and then it comes
like
up
beach entry.
almost like a beach entry. But I did a traditional like coping with tile because I didn't want the water line. But I was kind of picky about what we were doing. But the one thing, and this is probably the cheapest thing you can do, the umbrella holes. Okay, so I put one in the center of the sun shelf. It's great. I should have. What are they? $20? I mean, like the plastic insert when you're doing the concrete. I should have put one on each of the benches that is in the deep, one in the deep end and one in the shallow end of my pool. I should have put, so I could have put 3 umbrellas for those really hot days where you just want to lounge in the water but not be in the shade. That would be my ultimate thing. Like if you're remodeling a house, you put the DJ option should be on the list there, and it's got 3 or 4 umbrella holes.
Do you want the DJ special? We can add that in.
Yep, it's $60 and it's and that's definitely the feature that I felt after I did the pool. I was like, man, I mean the lighting at night is one thing, but if I had added that, how many times have I moved? I mean, you've been at my house when we're having a pool party, and I move an umbrella over and put, with a base just so you have shade right there. If I'd have done it in the step where you don't have to worry about the base and if it's going to move, would have been a great upgrade on our pool. That I think every time I tell somebody remodeling a pool, I'm like, don't forget your umbrellas.
Make sure you get the umbrella.
Get the umbrella holders. What do you feel? What do you feel like equipment wise is a good upgrade? Like if somebody has a standard like single speed pump, are you seeing like the pump upgrades are really good? Like tell us about some of the equipment stuff that's.
I mean, it's all really good. I mean, the main thing is obviously your pump and your filter. Salt system is whether or not you want it. There are benefits to it. You want
is it salt pool? I have a salt one that you set up for me. I find it much easier to maintain.
It feels better on your skin. You don't get out with dry skin from chlorine. You don't smell like chlorine.
Yeah, I know sometimes we cheat and we don't take a shower after we get out of the salt pool, because it's like
you feel clean.
You feel clean. You're like, oh, this is not bad.
Dad's always like, I don't have to shower. I just swim.
Yeah. You're giving him away. We just let the cat out of the bag on that one.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, filtration. The filtration is the biggest thing. A lot of these older pools, I don't know why they did it this way back in the day, but they would put up small filters on it, and they're really undersized. You want a bigger filter on there. That way it can filter efficiently and properly.
Well, I think the efficiency of moving the water too. That's a big thing with the pumps. Like the new variable speed pumps, we put what, a 2.7 or 3 horsepower?
Yeah, I think it was 2.7.
Something like that. So I had a single speed 1 horsepower that just ran at this high RPM all the time. However, it didn't effectively move the water through the filter and back into the pool. Where now the variable speed is like this. It's so powerful but yet it can run at a really low RPM, so it's using
saves a lot of money on electricity.
Yeah, so that's probably the big. I don't know that the average consumer can see the difference in the pump and their electricity bill. I know that it's there, but is it $20 a month? Is it $15 a month?
I've had customers tell me 50, 75.
Yeah.
And
depending on how much it runs.
Yeah. So you'd set it, you want about an hour a day per 10 degrees outside, but you can run it. The way we program a lot of them is they run really high or higher in the first 2 hours of the day, and then they'll run at a lower RPM all day. And then the last hour or two, you kick it back up a little bit, and that's where you really see your energy savings.
Energy savings is so it's doing the filtering and everything it needs to do, and then it's just kind of circulating the water.
Yep.
So it's kind of that's a good tip right there, is to kind of, you know, for efficiency, if you have a variable speed pump, make sure
you program it.
You
program it. You know, that's how they're designed.
And I know you need like an engineering degree to figure out that controller. So if you have a variable speed pump, Wayne can make a service call, and it's something he can come out and help you program that and charge you a few bucks for that, but certainly could save you quite a bit on your electric bill. If that thing's running at high RPM all day, it's not effectively needed for most pools.
And a lot of power companies will also offer rebates. Like I know Tico does. Not sure what all power companies do, but they'll offer rebates for switching to variable speed pumps.
That's very good, very good. Okay, so I know you have some stories, right? So what is a memorable pool remodel that you did that was in a good way memorable? Like that was a big job or significant, or you were a part of? Might have not been one you did personally that you just like was really cool to be a part of.
It's hard. One we did recently was a customer of ours. He had a raised spa with like a tiered spillover kind of, and we retiled the whole thing. I really loved how the tile came out.
It's got to be perfect.
It's got to be perfect. Yeah.
Especially one of those infinity edges that are like on the spas.
Yep.
That tile has to be. If it's not perfect, the water pours out. It requires a good tile guy for sure.
Yep. And I was a little concerned about it when after my tile guys were done, honestly. But once we fired it up, it spilled over perfectly. And it looked awesome. Yeah.
A good tile guy is probably one of the tricks of the trade.
You always need a good tile guy for sure.
Do you have any tips as far as like maintenance tips or something that like maybe the average homeowner doesn't know about their pool? I know we're probably gonna get a bunch of questions on this because pools they're all different, right? Like roofs are metal or tile or shingle. There's like only a few types, but pools are infinitely like designed and can have all different equipment and pumps and filter combinations and all of that. So I mean,
proper filtration, first of all.
How often should you clean your filter typically?
Depends on if it's undersized or not. If you got an undersized filter, you're gonna have to clean it a lot more often. If you have a larger filter, you won't have to clean it but once a month. Sometimes even less.
And some of those filters, I mean, I've seen the ones that have, what is the earth? It's called something earth.
Diatomaceous earth.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of them, but those, you gotta clean them maybe once every year. You gotta take them apart.
And they have like sand and stuff and there's a process to it.
It's diatomaceous earth, so when a regular maintenance thing that you would do with those is backwash, and after you backwash, you'd have to add more DE,
So that's a type of filtration. Now, do all the ones that backwash, they're that type of equipment?
For the most part, diatomaceous earth would
those are the real big filter
the
ones.
The big ones,
Okay.
Or sand filters.
Sand filters.
Like the customer that I just worked on for you the other day, she has a sand filter.
A sand filter, okay.
Not really a fan of those either. I like the cartridge filters. They're simple. They're easy to maintain.
They're cheap to replace when you need a new cartridge.
Once a
year you
buy.
You go to pinch a penny.
$75 to $100, you buy a new cartridge.
That's what I have at my house. I find that it's easy to clean, But it's something I service every week, every 2 weeks. I typically try to do. That's my Sunday project around the house. I go around and clean the pool and make sure the skimmer basket. Can't tell you how many frogs I find. My pool's open for those of you that don't know. I don't have a pool cage. So a lot of times, you find spiders. Oh man, I've got
in the skimmer basket.
In the skimmer basket, man, and they always have like 1,000 babies. And I'm terrified of spiders. Like, I will burn a house down if I can't find the spider in it. And literally the other day I went to clean and there was a spider, and she I'm assuming it was a she, had 1,000 little babies on her back. And when I killed her, they all like dispersed.
Scattered.
And I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm like, now I'm going to have I didn't get in the pool for 3 or 4 days after that. I'm like, these spiders got to get out of here before I get in the pool.
Turn that salt system up.
Yeah, I'm like 100% kill everything. Yeah. So that's one of those things, but that's something that I find is, pool maintenance, especially with the salt system.
Yeah.
Are you finding that most of the pool installs that you're doing have the salt system? Like that's something people are electing. I know when I saw
a lot of people are going that route. Yeah, they want to.
I think once you experience it, I think some people the knowledge of how simple the salt cell and salt pool is to maintain, and the benefits of like it doesn't ruin your clothes and you don't smell like chlorine. I don't know that everybody knows that, so maybe they'll learn that from this. But it's certainly a game changer in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like I don't want a pool that is in salt. Yeah. For me personally,
you don't have to haul around liquid chlorine as much. You don't have to mess with the tablets.
That part's cleaner.
Yeah.
You're not adding. It's funny because I had somebody ask me, and they're like, "Oh, salt pool." They're like, "I don't like the water." They were moving from Michigan,
where
they were used to very much having salt water like at the ocean, and that's what their mind was. They're like, "No, I don't want to do that. It's like sticky." I'm like, "No,
not with the salt pool." Yeah,
the salt essentially lowers. If you put salt on a field, you can't grow anything. It's basically the idea. So you're putting salt in the water, and it's lowering the bacteria growth. So you need less chlorine.
Yep.
Is that right? From my understanding,
salt is definitely had been known as an antiseptic, but basically what the salt system does is it takes salt, which is sodium chloride, sodium and chlorine, and it splits them into making chlorine.
And then that's how. And then the chlorine level is so much less because of the salt in the water.
Yeah,
essentially,
typically.
Right? Yeah, that from my understanding, I could be completely wrong. I'm not a pool guy.
I don't do a lot of maintenance either.
You're not the guy to call for, but you have a guy for the water.
I have guys I have several guys that we refer out that do all the cleaning,
monthly service and stuff like that. So if you have somebody that is looking for that, we'll certainly reach out to Wayne because that's another service you can kind of provide to our viewers.
Yeah, anything pools we can handle. We could even facilitate finding a builder for a brand new pool. We don't do that.
You don't do the new
That'll
pools.
Be
something in the future.
That'll be in the next probably 2 years or so. But I work with builders all over, so I can help people find builders as well.
Yep. I got one more question for you. What is something that is like dollar for dollar a good investment, like budget wise, if you were upgrading? You have a good pool, there's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't need to be resurfaced or retiled, but you're like, hey, I'd like to dress this up a little bit or improve my pool. What is something that you could do relatively at a low cost?
Like with pool equipment?
Yeah, maybe equipment, or maybe it's add a heater. I know the heaters are expensive,
add a heater, yeah.
But that's a functional.
Yeah,
thing.
you can increase your swimmability. Your swim season can be longer.
Yeah, because I mean, we typically, I like the water warm, so I'm not swimming like October through April.
I don't even like the water when it's 80 degrees. Let alone
like bath water. Yeah. But so that's typically, so you're swimming May, June, July, August, and September.
Pretty much.
Into October until it cools off. But the heater, I know, gets us at least 2 months. You get into November and you get into like February, March, where you can then use it again.
Yeah, because you can start using it earlier in the year too.
Yeah.
And then you have a heater chiller, which is with a screen-in pool, you don't really need the chiller aspect unless your pool does get hot. But typically, screen-in pools stay a lot cooler. But in the summer, we use your chiller all the time.
Yep. Well, and I actually made another improvement to the pool, and this was really cool. It was something I found on Amazon. There are these aerator fountains. And they unscrew from the eyeballs. You unscrew the eyeballs on the return jets, and they plug in and they spit the water out into the air.
And that'll cool the water.
It cools the water huge. And in fact, if it's really too hot, run the pool at night.
Yep.
And by morning, I mean literally 5 degrees difference in the water just by running the pump.
When the sun's not beating on it.
When the sun's not beating on it. So I started doing that, and we've actually been able to not use the chiller as much. Because the chiller's like running an AC unit for your pool, so it's
expensive.
It's expensive to operate, but I did that, and I haven't seen any downside to it other than the kids when they're in the pool, they knock the damn things over, and I have to go back out of there and fix it. But other than that, it was $25-$30 I think
for them on Amazon.
For Amazon, and like when you're done with them at the end of the year, throw them out and get another set for next year. So that's probably my tip for cooling your pool.
Yeah,
that I could provide. All right, well, I think that's going to wrap up the podcast on our 3rd episode. Wayne, thank you so much for coming out and joining us.
Thanks for having me.
If you have any pool needs or have questions for Wayne, reach out to him. I'll put his contact info in link below the video. And thank you for coming, and we'll see you on the next one.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right.